back to the Outstanding in Our Field podcast here. I'm Pastor Dave Berry. Again, for those joining for the first time, we will share with you that I'm not proclaiming how outstanding I am. I'm trying to get people to understand that they need to get outside and stand outside of their buildings, outside of their churches, and make a difference in somebody's life. So, be your mission and out in the mission field with excellence and with determination to make a difference in someone's life. And that's what this is all about. We're trying to learn how to sow seed. We're trying to learn parables that Jesus talked about sowing and reaping and harvest and gardening and so forth, to proclaim to people what we should be doing outside of the churches and outside of in our activities and in our lives. So we've been sharing the parable of the wheat and the tares here, and we're hoping to show you some things here in the interpretation. The parable itself is in Matthew chapter 13, verses 24 through 30. The interpretation is in verse 36 through 43. So you see that Jesus, after the multitude went away, Jesus went in the house, the disciples followed him and requested of him to know the interpretation of this parable. And we covered the first part in weeks past, but I want to just read over it quickly to get it in context here. But Jesus declares the interpretation by saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like unto a..." Oh, I'm sorry, I went back to verse 24. I need to come down to verse 36 here to give you the interpretation here. And so he answered his disciples, verse 37, "He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world." Again, that's the word cosmos in the Greek. That's the geographical world in which we live. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. So there's wheat and tares growing together. You can't tell the difference. They both look alike. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world. Now that word world there is not the same word world that's in verse 38. This is a time period. It's called aeonian, and in the Greek, and it's a time period. It's a season. It's a coming to an end. So it's not talking about the cataclysmic end of the world as we know it, but he's saying the harvest is the end of a time period. And so you got to know the difference there, because it's very important in other scriptures. And it says the reapers are the angels. And so verse 40 goes on to say, "And therefore the tares or the weeds are gathered and burned into the fire. So shall it be in the end of the world." Again, that's a time period. Because now he's focusing this parable more in the time period in which he's living and in the age in which he's living in, explaining that there's going to be some great changes to come to the national or the natural country of Israel, and that these changes are going to bring a great separation of the wheat that produces fruit and the tares that do not. And so he goes on here in verse 41, "The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity." Again, this is beginning to get a focus on the transition from a natural people to a spiritual people, where God used to send natural Israel out to fight for natural places, natural lands, natural people, and kill tribes of people and people that were wicked. Under the new covenant, he's talking about killing things off in our lives that need to be cut out or dug up and burned, if you will, or consumed by the brightness of his coming. So we're trying to shift the emphasis and use this parable in our day and time. But here Jesus is talking more about a natural situation. But he says, "The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity." So this is the focus that we have on now, where before we're trying to eliminate people that offend. And at the end of this age that we're referring to was the end of a natural people who gave natural sacrifices that instead of recognizing the Messiah that was with them, they totally denied him. And so the focus is now changing to a God trying to make this transition of getting rid of things that offend. What offends him? If Jesus is the Lamb that's slain from the foundation of the world, what would offend him is someone else trying to be a sacrifice, someone else bringing a sacrifice that would try to replace the Messiah or replace Christ. So here he's trying to say, we need to get rid of these things in the harvest, or at the end of this age. Things were going to be cut off in the natural Israel, and where it pertains to us today, we're in another time period, we're in another age where we need to begin to try not to offend people, try not to be critical and commit iniquities, which is repetitive sins, if you will. And so he says we're going to cast these things into a furnace of fire. There should be wailing and gnashing of teeth. And again, this is talking about in this lifetime. If this isn't happening now, it's not talking about hell. It's not talking about later on after you die. This is something that needs to take place now in the harvest time, when we begin to separate things that produce fruit, things that don't produce fruit. If there's things in your life that's not producing, you need to get rid of it. If it's not profitable, you need to get rid of it. It says, I'm going to read the last verse here, and we'll finish up here with, "Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear." That's a favored phrase. It goes all the way into the book of the Revelation. Jesus used it many times there, where Jesus was speaking in the book of Revelations, and try to get people that not just have an ear, but get them to hear what he's trying to say. And that's the difference here. The disciples desired to hear what Jesus was saying. They had an ear. Everywhere I go, most people have ears, but some people don't listen. And that's the difference. To have an ear to hear is more important. So you begin to see the distinction here, where God is trying to say, look, in this age that he's standing in, that's going to end in the next less than 40 years' time, that generation is going to end, and he's going to begin a separation. And if anything is more separated than the old covenant and the new covenant, there's nothing more separated than the sacrifice of animals and the acceptance of the sacrifice of the Lamb that was slain from the foundation of the world. This embracing of this new covenant would cause a separation where we would never go back to observe holidays and feast days and none of those things. We're now embracing the newness of life. We're now embracing the kingdom of heaven. And that's what he said, the kingdom of heaven is like this. So not only is he planting the seed, but he's causing the separation for us to begin to say, look, no more are we going to do it the old way. No more are we going to come some other way than Christ himself. No more are we going to look for a Messiah. We're going to walk with the Messiah. No more are we going to allow these two separate children to grow together, if you will, the children of the kingdom and the children of the wicked one. We have to cause a separation. One scripture says that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. I learned that I wasn't unstable until I came to Christ. After that, I would think like Christ on Sunday, and then Monday or Saturday night or Friday night, I was thinking like David again. That double-mindedness made me unstable until I decided to put on the mind of Christ, the way it says in Philippians 2 and 5. I was still living this mixture. I was still looking like wheat, but not producing any fruit. I was in the church, but not of the church. I was not causing the separation to come. This separation needs to happen because there's terrible things that happen to a lot of families, a lot of broken homes. Unfortunately, the divorce rate in church is just as high as it is in the world. And that shouldn't be that way, because we should be seeking for unity. We should be trying to take out the things that offend. And if we weren't so easily offended, if we weren't so easily choosing our way instead of God's way, maybe we could get some unity. Maybe we could get something to happen that would benefit us all. So I hope that this parable has helped you just a little bit here. We're growing together. Let's strive to produce some fruit and not give up on anyone. God bless you is our prayer.